Hello, Village. Welcome to our gathering this evening. Glad to see you. This will be a class, an informal conversation about the major arcana of tarot. If you are a tarot beginner or intermediate student, you'll find this extremely informative. If you're an advanced reader, I hope you find some things here that you really like as well. I'm Christiana Gaudette. I am your Tarot Fairy Godmother, and I'm so happy that you are here. Of course, a huge shout out to the members, the moderators. I appreciate all of you so much. Let's hop right on over to Card Cam because I have to start with a really exciting surprise. So this is like, I unboxed it, but I'm going to do a pretend unboxing. This just came in the mail. It is the brand new, like this is the review copy. I'm not even sure it's available yet, but I know you can get it on pre-order. It's the new mini Wiser Tarot. Now, y'all know one of my very favorite decks, Wiser Tarot. My first copy of this was a gift from Ben, Libra Does Tarot, who is here this evening. So what is great about Wiser Tarot is it's the images drawn by Pamela Coleman Smith at the direction of A.E. Waite, but it's been recolored to make it more beautiful and more inclusive. And now it's small. And I have to tell you, I really enjoy a pocket-sized deck for a lot of different reasons. So this box is really interesting. It does that. It's a slide. And it comes with this one extra card, and it came with this band right on it. And so there's your unboxing. We have a reversible back. Yay. So this is what we're going to be using today. And isn't it great? Because our major arcana, and we'll do it this way. Yeah, we'll put this guy over here. Our major arcana is in order and ready for us. So as I'm getting, let's do like that. As I'm getting the cards out today, I want to say a couple of things. First of all, this will not be a comprehensive class in any way, shape, or form. We're only here for an hour, and there is so much to be said about the major arcana of tarot. So right away, here are some limitations. First of all, we're dealing with the Waite major arcana, not the Crowley, not the Marseille, not a modern deck that has really done a different take on the major arcana. All respect to them, but this is what we're dealing with today. I will share with you some of my thoughts about these cards, but as we're getting started, I would love to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the major arcana? Do you have questions about the major arcana? Are there things that you specifically were hoping to learn tonight? Are there specific major arcana cards that you don't understand? Now's the time to ask. And if you're asking in a replay, if you're watching the replay, please go ahead and drop a comment and I will answer you. Tortoiseshell Moon, Kathy, so good to see you. Thanks for being here. We have missed you. Welcoming everyone here. So let's start with some basics. The word arcana means secrets. Tarot is divided into two sections, the major arcana and the minor arcana. So we have major arcana, or the greater secrets of tarot, and minor arcana, the lesser secrets. There are 22 cards in the major arcana. So of the 78 card tarot deck, only 22 are major, and they are numbered card 0 through 21. And I must tell you about this deck. the finish is fabulous. It's like a smooth half gloss matte. Oh, I love it. It's like butter. I love it. Okay. Hey, horse-drawn portrait. Good to see you. Ben, the strength card still puts me through the loop. It's pretty self-explanatory, but always makes me go, And so happy to see all of you. A special shout out, of course, to the members and the moderators. So, any other like trouble cards, like where are your trouble spots? Are there particular cards you have a hard time understanding or a hard time interpreting? We will definitely pay some special attention to those cards, and we've got strength on the list. Any other cards you want to put on the list, by all means, please do. All right. So when we approach, Laughing Cap, good to see you. And thank you for being a new member. You've become a member very recently, and I really appreciate you. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so Laughing Cap, I'm confused about the reverse tower. Is it the end? Like the end of a relationship, for example? I'm going to argue that the tower, whether upright or reversed, I don't know that we would necessarily, the tower is definitely a moment, but I don't know that the tower would say this is the end. Like, there are cards that to me are like, you will go no further. You're done, full stop. The tower is not one of them. The tower could talk about a catastrophe, but a catastrophe does not necessarily mean the end. What does everyone else think? I would love to hear you ring in on this. In your own relationship with the tower, is it the end? Okay, so we have a lot of votes for judgment. My goodness gracious, judgment. Christina, Jen Schultz. Betty wants judgment and the Hanged Man reversed. And Jenna Perkins, judgment has always been a struggle for me as well. So we will get to your struggle cards. First, though, I want to share a couple of things that I think are important regarding Major Arcana study. When you study the Major Arcana, and for me, this is an ongoing study. We never stop studying. We're always learning. We're always growing, right? Our understanding of what each card can mean to us will grow and change. So for me, I feel like there are three things we need to think about with the Major Arcana specifically, that maybe we would not think about as strongly with the Minor Arcana cards, although we might. And that would be the archetype. Each Major Arcana card is associated with an archetype. What is an archetype? It is a character, lesson, or image with which we are all familiar. Something that speaks to all of us. So all the Major Arcana are archetypes. So we look for the archetype. We look for the lesson. I believe that every Major Arcana card has a spiritual lesson for us. And as we study tarot, if we learn these lessons and we take them to heart, they stand us in good stead for all of our lives. It's the study of a sacred text. And then there's what the card can mean in a reading. And these things are not necessarily the same thing. A tarot card may come up, a Major Arcana card may come up in a reading, and you may interpret it, but you may not think so much about the archetype. You may not think so much about the spiritual lesson. That same Major Arcana card may come up in a different context, in a different reading, in a different day, and it may be all about that archetype or all about that spiritual lesson. But for us to really embrace the cards, we need to understand the archetypes, the spiritual lessons, and our sense of what the interpretation would be. Okay, now Going back to Laughing Cap's question, and I think it's a good one. Here's the Tower. Here's the Tower. And Laughing Cap was confused specifically about Tower when reversed. And what Laughing Cap says is at the end, like, is it reversed? Would that mean an ending? And my thought is, I don't necessarily see an ending in the Tower, upright or reversed, although you could in either case. And I ask people to ring in on their thoughts here. Carrie over on Facebook, good to see you. For the Tower in general, some shakeup or change, an aha moment, or a moment of awe. Now, would that be for the Tower upright? And when it's reversed, would that be more or less of that? That's my question. Now, Ben, Libra does tarot, so good to see you. The Tower for me is usually an energy shift of some sort, whether that be a breakthrough or breaking down a barrier. Not so much an ending as a clearing. And Betty Flesher says, is the Tower reversed a crisis averted? Or upright is the hand of God and reverse Tower man-made? I mean, I suppose you could look at that any way you wanted to. Oh, and regarding judgment, Trey says, you're saying that judgment could be mediumship has stayed with me. It's so true. Yeah. Back to the Tower. Heather Roberts, I see the Tower as restructuring. However, in my life, it tends to be a change in perspective or a life change I'm trying to avoid. For me, something in my life is not aligned. Oh, Trey, it's hard for me not to associate the Tower with 9/11, not to bring the mood down. No, that's fair. That's fair. And Carrie says, well, really, if it's reversed, it'll depend on the surrounding cards. And Jen says, I generally think it might be less if reversed, but maybe it would depend on the situation and the surrounding cards. Heather Roberts says, in my opinion, reversed would be a smaller change. And Christina says, yeah, Tower is a change thrust on you. Reversed or shadow may be avoiding the change. So, Laughing Cap, does that help? That's a lot of different perspectives. For me, if I see the Tower reversed, I'm like, it's in the past. You went through it. You came out the other side. You're all good. Not maybe all good, but you're in recovery now or whatever. But the worst is over. So for me, Tower reversed is the worst is over. And or it's not going to be as bad as you think. If it's in the future, it won't be as bad as you think. So in the past, the worst is over. In the future or the present, it's not going to be as bad as you think. That's how I see the Tower reversed. All right. So we will go over all the requested cards. But let's talk a little bit about a phrase we may all know well, which is the Fool's Journey. We think about tarot in general, but the Major Arcana in specific as the journey of the Fool. And we often think of this as like tarot, canon, wisdom. And it is, but it's important to remember that it's a fairly modern term. The concept, the structure of looking at the Major Arcana as the journey of the Fool was given to us by Eden Gray. So that would be late 60s, early 70s. Prior to that, there was not this concept of tarot being the Fool's journey. Now, what do I mean by that? I will show you in a moment. Oh, Tortoiseshell Moon, I am clocking that you asked about the Hierophant, and I'm glad that you did. Ben, love a bit of Eden Gray. Yeah. Without her, I might not be here, to be honest. So, yeah. Okay, so what is the concept of the Fool's Journey? The Fool is numbered card 0. Every other card in the deck has a number. The Major Arcana numbered 1 through 21. The idea, and of course, the 4 suits numbered 1 ace through 10, and then the 4 court cards. So the idea, oh, Ben, well, I love her more now. That's so great. Thank you. Thank you. So the idea is that the Fool is the star of the story told by tarot. And the Fool represents each one of us on our journey through life. So something that you can do like right away as a tarot beginner, when you first get a new tarot deck, when you're studying, or at any time, is really take a moment and connect to the Fool. Hold it to your heart, breathe it in, look at the image, meditate, see yourself as the Fool. Recognize yourself as the Fool. Now, somewhere there's someone saying, I'm no fool. What are you talking about? When we think about the Fool, we're thinking about the Shakespearean fool, the jester, the one commoner who had the ear of the king. And the idea, and this is one of the first bits of spiritual wisdom that we will get from studying the Major Arcana, is that we do best in life when we approach it with a sense of childlike wonder and willingness to explore. Now, the Fool is related to Uranus and therefore the element of air. And as a Uranian heir, the Fool is learning in an expeditionary way. The Fool is on an expedition. What we think about the Fool is that in the Fool's pouch are the 4 tools of magic. That would be the cup, the pentacle, the sword, and the wand, as we see on the magician's table, and that become the icons of the 4 suits of the minor arcana. So I cannot speak to this wisdom. Mexican mystic, you're speaking to something that I don't have wisdom on. Doesn't the Fool's journey embody the same sacred role of the Heyoka? I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Please forgive my lack of knowledge, but I will say this. That archetypal journey of the Fool's journey is related to any hero's journey. Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, the protagonist of any epic journey, and we can take it all the way back to every man. The Fool is every man. The Fool is each one of us. Tarot, in a way, is a morality play. So any culture or any story that is sort of an epic adventure, the star is the Fool. The Fool is Don Quixote. The Fool is Percival. The Fool is anyone setting out on their journey. Oh, Trey, Uranus is Kronos, aka Skyfather. I've always seen the Fool as our soul's decision to incarnate. Bang! Oh my gosh, that was a huge mic drop from Trey. I've never seen that before. But this is why we gather, right? We come together to learn from one another. That is beautiful. What a way to begin the journey. Deciding to incarnate. Betty Fleischer, do you see the Fool as a reincarnation sometimes? I've never thought about it, but based on what Trey just said, sure. So we could spend a whole hour talking about the Fool. But since we have only an hour here and I want to get to the questions, there are a lot of spiritual lessons to the Fool. It's about taking the leap of faith. It's about being the hero of your own story. It's about having main character energy. And it's about recognizing you don't have to know the end of the story or even where the story's going to start it. And it's about honoring the inner child. Now, something to decide with the Fool when you bring in tarot numerology. every Major Arcana card is at least part of a pair or might be part of a triple based on numerology. For example, the Magician, card 1, is in a triple with the Wheel of Fortune, card 10, because 10 is 1 plus 0, 1, and the Sun, because the Sun is card 19, 1 plus 9 is 10, 1 plus 0 is 1. Now, some people, me, would say the Fool is card 0 and does not even get to play this game. We are all the Fool at the end of the day. The Fool belongs to all of us. Some other respected people, like Mary Kay Greer, put the Fool at the very end as card 22, making it a 4, which would put it with the Emperor and Death. So that's something that, you kind of have to decide is, do you see the Fool as a 4 or do you keep it solid in its 0? That's an interesting question. Another thing I like to think about is how both the Fool and the Magician are air. The Fool is Uranus, the Magician is Mercury, and how they're both learning in different ways. Trey, I think it can be both. It's the beginning and the ending. I love that. Yeah. Audrey, the Fool, archetypal pattern of potential. All is possible, nothing is manifested. That is perfect. I love it. And, what are other archetypes we would associate with the Fool? Mr. Magoo is one. As we said, any hero on their journey. And I would say the innocent child is another one. And the idea that God protects drunks and small children, yeah, that comes in there too. So within each card, there is an archetypal association which gives us the element. An astrological association. That was a misspeak on my part. An astrological association that gives us the element, but also takes us deeper because the Magician as Mercury brings in so much communication and technology into this card. Right. Oh, I love that. The Fool is Forrest Gump. And it is such a great exercise to think about characters that we know in TV, movies, literature, whatever, and associate them with the Major Arcana. For example, Tevye from Fiddler on the Roof, I see as the Hierophant. So, when we think about the Fool's journey, we think about how each card leads to the next. So, and we could do it a few ways. We could say that on the journey, the Fool meets these characters. We could also say that on the journey, the Fool becomes these characters. So what if I said, or we could say, the Fool does these things. So the other thing I'm going to say is that many of us like to divide the numbered cards into 3 groups of 7 called septenaries. Now, I believe that Benabel Wen may be the one who gave us the name septenary. All right. So that first septenary is Magician through Chariot. And while we see a continuous story through all the cards, we can see a specific story through each septenary. I'm going to do a version of it very quickly, and I will let you know that I see the first septenary as being cards about what I call the material world. I see first septenary as body, second septenary as mind, third septenary as spirit. It's that simple. So, what does the Fool do with the Magician? Well, first, the Fool takes his tools out of the pouch and puts them on the table and commits to learning them. This is an initiation, a commitment to learn, an openness to mind. Mind is open and we are communicating. So our journey has led us to a commitment to learn how to use our tools and to develop skills and abilities. Now we come to the High Priestess, where we are still learning. We have all these spiritual symbols around us. We hold the Torah. And we see that our gown turns into water and flows off the page. And that's an interesting thing, because you will see the water of the High Priestess flowing through many, many Major Arcana cards. You will also see these two pillars. These are the outer pillars of Solomon's temple, Boaz and Jachin. They're also the outer pillars of the Kabbalistic tree of life, mercy and severity. And you will see that these pillars stay with us as well. So the pillars and the water come from the High Priestess. So she initiates these things for us. She is the first reference to clear femininity, and that is part of her power. In the maiden mother crone cycle, she is the maiden. She is Persephone. She is the Virgin Mary. She teaches us that, okay, so we have three kinds of learning here, right? We learn on an expedition. We learn by studying our tools. We learn by reading sacred texts and then diving into the waters of the subconscious to experience what is within. It is, in a way, true that the fool is doing externally what the High Priestess is doing internally. Now, on this journey of womanhood, we see pomegranates in the background of the High Priestess. These represent the underworld to which the High Priestess travels, but they also represent her fertility. And we see that they show up on the gown of the Empress. So here we start our journey with learning, and now we're creating something, we're nurturing something. Perhaps we are connecting with our family, with our mother, with our place of birth. Perhaps we ourselves are becoming parents. And in our journey through the material world, we literally have a mother and a father, the Empress and the Emperor. We confront authority, the authority of the home with the Empress, the authority of the community with the Emperor, and the authority of the church with the Hierophant. With the Empress, we learn to nurture and create. With the Emperor, we learn wise leadership of community. With the Hierophant, we encounter the priesthood. Now, there was someone here who was asking specifically about the Hierophant, and we'll talk about it more fully in a moment. But the Hierophant is about priesthood and all the ways it can be used or abused. So wise teacher versus abuser, either or. But these are things we need to learn. You know, these are the lessons of the material world. After doing all of that, we finally learn about love. We learn that we can choose what we want or don't want in our lives. And then, completing the first septenary, we can get a car. Seriously, we have mastered all of this. So now we are self-determining and can move forward. And Barbie says a smart thing regarding the magician. I always think of as above, so below with the magician. That's exactly right. That arm position is exactly that, as above, so below. Absolutely. All right, now, second septenary. This is mind, or like some of you have heard me call this septenary the cards of how not to be crazy. Within these cards, we see lessons of acceptance and strength, which Ben had asked about, starts us off. So let's do that dive into strength right now. The first card of the second septenary. What we see is a woman with her hand in the lion's mouth. Now, this card is associated with Leo. It's a card of fire. The star of this card is really the lion, not the woman. We recognize, and remember, we just got our mastery. We just got our car, right? And so now, in this place of mastery, we are the lion. We are the king of the jungle. And within each one of us is such a beast. And within each of us is this regulating, gentle woman. The strength here is about being the beast, but being the tamed beast. It's about recognizing your wild nature, recognizing your ability to leap to defense, recognizing your internal strength, but keeping it tempered and under control appropriately. Sometimes, the first lesson of emotional regulation, which is what all of this is how to regulate that inner beast and recognize that love is the greatest strength. She's not holding a knife to his throat, people. She's putting her hand in his mouth with trust. So there's our first step, and then we get to the hermit. The hermit is Father Time. The hermit is about the arduous, lonely journey to the top of the mountain. It's about age. It's about patience. And it's about the wisdom that we keep and don't throw in other people's faces, but maybe will teach if asked. We may seek the wisdom of the hermit. We may have the wisdom of the hermit. But it's also about loneliness. There's loneliness here. And the lesson is about enduring our loneliness and the wisdom that comes from it. Barbie, I was just thinking how this card is so about emotional regulation and a gentle strength, quiet confidence. Yes. Wheel of Fortune. We like to think we can control things, but at the end of the day, whether it's random or God on his computer hitting the smite button a lot, there are things that are outside of our control. No matter how much law of attraction you want to work, there are things that we cannot control. And the Wheel of Fortune teaches us to accept that and teaches us to work with that and teaches us to anticipate and survive the ups and downs of life. Then we come to Justice, where we recognize that nothing in life is fair, and yet we must try to be fair with ourselves and with one another. The Hanged Man. Hey, Lynn, good to see you over on Facebook. The Hanged Man, where we take a pause, look at things from a different perspective, recognize that when you cannot change your circumstances, you must change your attitude. Death, where we recognize that none of us can escape change, that change is the only constant in life, even though none of us like it. And finally, Temperance, where we come to a place of peace, balance, and artistry, creativity, by recognizing that nothing in life is going to be perfect. This is like the card that helps us get rid of perfectionism and instead opens to us to the idea of creating the perfect blend. Now, the final 7 cards, here we have the cards of spiritual enlightenment, starting with the Devil. The Devil is about what we attach ourselves to. And the journey to enlightenment is about recognizing those attachments, and in some cases releasing them, which leads us to the Tower, where we learn that that which is built on a faulty foundation cannot stand. Oh, Ben gets rid of perfectionism. I need me some of that. There you go. The Star, where we find healing. The Moon, where we remember that all is not as it seems, and we use our intuition to look deeply and avoid the pitfalls along the journey towards spiritual enlightenment. The Sun, where we have the courage to be in the light and allow ourselves to shine. Judgment, we're coming back to this one, where we put closure to the past and allow for new opportunities. And this is like, if we were talking about endings, there was a question earlier about the Tower as a card of endings, a laughing cap. I would more see Judgment as a card of endings. And closure, getting closure. And then the World, finally, the card of completion and attainment, where we see the big picture, where we finally have completed our journey. So, what are your thoughts? That was the quickest walkthrough of the majors. Obviously not at all comprehensive, but just to give you some idea of a way, just one of many ways to see the Fool's Journey. Let me know your thoughts on that. And now I'm going to go back. Oh, Barbie Bird, that was such a great refresher. Thank you. I'm going to go back to the requests for diving into the cards. And if you have a card you want me to dive into, let me know. We'll go through everything we can think about regarding that card. And we'll do as much of that as we have time for. Tortoiseshell Moon says that is some journey. Yes, indeed. Audrey M., I think of the world as integration, understanding, and unity. And you could even really think of it as integrating that body, mind, and spirit. That works well. One thing, of course, that is fun in the weight symbolism, the characters in the corners, which are the 4 evangelists, the 4 elements, and the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac. Here in the Wheel of Fortune, they are writing their books. And here, the books are already out in the world. Okay, so let's go through. So we already talked a lot about the Tower. And, you know, the Tower is a card of, it can be a catastrophe, destruction, all of it. But it is also a necessary part of spiritual enlightenment. You have to let go of everything you believe to find out what you really believe. So there's that there. Okay, let me scroll back. Now, Judgment. There was so much talk about Judgment. A lot of you asked about Judgment. So Judgment is now on the table. And everyone chat in and tag it Judgment, because we're going to move through a few cards. Everyone chat in your thoughts on Judgment. So the archetype is the rapture, literally the concept of the end of the world. What we are seeing here is the angel blowing his horn and corpses rising out of coffins to be born in the new day. Now, other archetypes, if you find that archetype unsavory, the phoenix. This is the archetype of the phoenix as well. So it's interesting because in a way, this is death and rebirth, just as Major Arcana 13 is death and rebirth. So there is this question of how are these two cards different? And I think this is the change and this is the ending. Now, with Judgment, One of my favorite keywords is closure, getting closure, whether that's a conversation or whether that's something you need to do in your own mind and heart. Trey, for judgment, says the truth. Any false ideas about yourself or the world are stripped away. I love that, but I would also say in the Venn diagram, what you just said could be definitely true for this, but also true for the moon and the tower. Absolutely. So Betty, judgment reversed is my trouble. Not listening to your calling or something about the past. I could absolutely see stuck in the past, desperately in need of closure. I could absolutely see that. Now, hearing your calling, and this is based on the weight imagery. There are, the weight deck has been around for 115 years. Over that time, there are a few tarot interpretations that have come to us, have come to us because of Waite's illustration, which in some cases is like the Marseille or the Solabusca, in other cases not. But because we see the angel with the horns so strongly, this can be about hearing your calling. The call to awaken the sleeping hero. The wake-up call. I love that wake-up call. It can be listening to your angels, and that's where mediumship comes in. Trey had talked about mediumship. That's where that comes in, literally listening to the voice of the angels. So mediumship, spirit communication, hearing your calling, your wake-up call. Now, Audrey says, judgment, the awakened soul. I love that. Tortoiseshell Moon, Kathy, judgment, making peace with ourselves. I love that. Jen Schultz, forgiveness. Absolutely, yes. I love it. Yes. Christina, judgment, taking everything from your past, accepting it, learning from it, and going forward. Chef's kiss. I love it. Terry Combs Rosario, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Trey Cameron, could judgment reverse speak of someone living in denial or delusional thinking? Oh, yes, absolutely. Ben, I had judgment reversed in a reading, and I saw it as someone who was blocking others from moving on by constantly bringing up past dramas they couldn't let go. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. All right. Now, the Hanged Man was one that came up. And archetypes for the Hanged Man in this deck called the Hanged One. And before we go there, Tortoiseshell Moon, I've had it for literal judgment when my dissertation was being assessed. Makes sense. Absolutely, yes. You can take it at literal face value for sure. For sure. All right. So now, hang on one second. Let me just adjust my scroll. Okay. So now, archetypally, the Hanged Man or the Hanged One, Christ on the cross, Odin on the tree. So there is a sense of sacrifice here. We are in an uncomfortable position. And yet, through that discomfort, we are finding enlightenment. This is traditionally the card of yoga. And I also associate it with 12-step programs. And interestingly, it's card 12. Why do I associate it with 12-step programs? Because to me, it speaks so clearly of the serenity prayer. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So when I see this card, I see it as a reminder that you're not in control. I see it as a piece of advice to change your attitude. Look at things through a different lens. Find a different perspective. Be patient. It's going to take time. When is it going to happen? No time soon. Reversed, it is time to take control. It is no longer a time to wait. It is a time to dance. It is a time to move yourself forward after a period of waiting. That's what I see there. I will say it is associated with water, the element of water. I'm not remembering the astrology right off the bat, but I know it is associated with the element of water. All right. So other thoughts on the Hanged Man. Right, Lady Dakini, good to see you. I see the Hanged Man is taking on a different perspective. Yes, absolutely, because everything looks different when you're upside down. And we're not comfortable, but we have to find a way to make this okay. So a change in perspective, absolutely, yes. Trey, I knew I could count on you. It's Neptune, which is also the planet most associated with alcoholism and addiction. And here's the magic of tarot, because I never knew that, but I always saw it as the card of 12 steps. And very often it comes up for me, for people in recovery. And Trey has just given me the astrological wisdom beside, that goes along with that. How brilliant is that? But I never made the connection to 12 steps. That's interesting. So cool, right? We just did some good work here. Do I see the Hanged Man as the saint? It could be. It could be, certainly from a perspective of martyrdom, for sure. And even sometimes a person acting like a martyr when they shouldn't. That would be like really a minority meaning, but yeah, it could. It could, for sure. Other thoughts about the Hanged Man? Sacrifice is here. Surrender is here. You're not in control. Different perspective. All of those things are in this card. All right. Thank you, Terry. Okay, now, and again, the floor is open. We have about 12 minutes. We're going to get to as many cards as we can. What cards would you like to dive into? Oh, interesting. Lady Dakini, this is interesting. You see in the Hanged one, the energy of the Fool. So in the Venn diagram between the two, there are certainly some interesting things there. But the main difference is the Fool is about to leap. And this one, the only leap can be made internally. It's an internal leap. This one can be external as well. So interesting. Oh, the Hierophant, the Hierophant. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. So the Hierophant is difficult because it is the priest. And so on one hand, it can be wise spiritual leadership. It can be a great spiritual leader, but it can also be an abusive spiritual leader. It can also be the priest of any church. So let's think about this. This is an authority. So who is the priest of the Church of Medicine? The doctor. Who is the priest of the church of the school? The teacher. Who is the priest of the church of the law? The attorney, the judge, or the police officer. So this card can talk about interaction with authority. And it can say, find the right authority. Do not go to the doctor when you need the lawyer. Do not go to your next door neighbor when you need the doctor. Find the right authority. There is also something here about trusting your own authority. Now, the archetype here is literally the Pope. And in the original tarot, this card is literally the Pope. And the dichotomy within the Pope is, what it is. Is it this is God's representative on earth, or is it this false prophet who, does all kinds of bad things? Oh, interesting. You're onto something here. So, Betty, Hierophant could be marriage. Yes, it's marriage for two reasons. Number one, when you get married, who is an officiant? The clergy. Number two, marriage is a tradition. An important key word for this card is tradition. Now, when this card is reversed, Eden Gray called this the card of the iconoclast or the hippie. Could it mean divorce? Betty wants to know. In the right context, it certainly could. Lady Dakini, could you say more about this? I'm not getting it. Hierophant in his detrimental is like the Six of Coins. So I'm having a hard time with that because the reciprocity of the Six of Coins or Six of Pentacles, I'm not quite sure about that. Let me know what you think. So Terry, if this is your soul card, if 5 is your soul number and this is your soul card, it means that you really should educate yourself on whatever you're interested in. You want to be the master, not the dabbler. You want to be the authority. And you want to honor authority appropriately. You want to figure out whose authority earns your respect and who doesn't. And you want to manage authority very well. So Tortoiseshell Moon Kathy, I just pulled the Hierophant in a body, mind, and spirit reading in the position of what does my body need? And I struggle to make it work. I would right away say, go to the doctor. Like, are you needing a doctor's visit? Is it time to see the doctor? That would be my first go-to. Go see the authority. Or it might be go see the massage therapist, right? But whoever the authority is. Oh, interesting. Trey, looking at that Six of Pentacles comparison, the thought in my head that came were those videos I saw of lower caste people in India begging outside a church to a priest to be allowed to go in the temple. Yeah, that would make sense. Sure. So the Hierophant could be your very religious relative that you don't even want to deal with. The Hierophant could tell you to get a master's degree. When I look at education in tarot, Magician, bachelor's degree, Hierophant, master's degree, Hermit, PhD, shows up that way so often. Yeah, abuse of authority, absolutely, Trey. We can see abuse of authority. And that's the thing, when you see the Hierophant, you're going to have to decide, are we seeing abuse or are we seeing wise leadership? That's always the question you got to ask. And that's a question, Kathy, Tortoiseshell Moon, if you got that in body, are you abusing your body or are you conducting your health affairs with wise authority? You could be asking yourself that question. Hey, Lisa McCord, good to see you. And nice to see folks over on Instagram as well. Okay. It can be, Trey Cameron, this could be an abuse of regular authority or spiritual authority. Absolutely, yes. Yes, absolutely. Okay. So what were the other cards? We have time to maybe do one more. Juby, good to see you. The Hierophant is also my soul card and would make Temperance my personality card. Is there a connection there, and how does one mirror the other? That's beautiful. That is a great question to see us out on. Where is she? Y'all are going to see it before I am. Where's my Temperance, everyone? Don't tell me I lost my Temperance. I swear to goodness, does anyone see? Oh, there she is. Okay. Right, so numerologically speaking, these two cards are a pair. And so traditional keywords for Temperance, art, time, and alchemy. This one has the recipe book. This one has been to school. This one is actually the artist making it happen. This is the priest who hires the artist. This is the knowledge. This is the book learning. This is the practice. This is the magician. This is the magic. What do you think about that? That just came out of me for the first time ever. Do you like it? Tell me what you think. Did I just make something up that was good or not? Did I make something up, or was that great wisdom that I just channeled? That's how I would see it, but I've never said it in those words before. Let me know what you think. Juby, that's beautiful. Yeah. And I mean, it is interesting to note the Hierophant is first septenary, Temperance is second. Hierophant is earth, Temperance is fire. These are things that, all of that. Trey, my magic is the devil. Not sure how I feel about that. Are you a 6? Are you a lover's devil? So, that's not so much about magic as it is about choices, right? These two cards are the same numerologically. You're a 6. So, Ness, good to see you. So for people who don't know what we're talking about here, if you find your birth number or your life path number by adding up all the digits in your birth date, you can correspond that to Major Arcana cards. So Trey, I would say this is the choice, this is the bad choice. Or this is the choice, this is the consequence, right? So, Betty Flesher's so smart. Temperance can be IVF treatments for infertility, mixing outside the body. That is smart. Terry says yin and yang. Oh, that's smart too. Tortoiseshell Moon, brilliant. That makes perfect sense. I had a text yesterday reminding me that my smear test is due. It probably meant that Hierophant for the body. There it is. Juby, I'm only a year, so still pretty new. So great to have you here. Thank you so much. Lady Dakini, I'm not sure how to frame it other than moving from the greater higher power connection to centering it on the self and the world of earthly realms, taking on the power for the self, not higher power. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I got it. Madiha Ness, yes, you are. We are in our last 2 minutes, and it's good to see you. You can certainly watch the replay. My friends, I want to thank you so much for being here. One of the things that I want to tell you, Betty Flesher, I love it when you call her the cosmic bartender. Yes, indeed. So when you study the majors, think about what is their spiritual lesson? What is their archetype? How does that work in your life? What are your keywords? What are your key phrases? What are the spiritual lessons you see in these cards? It's different for all of us, but those are the questions you want to ask yourself. It's also important to remember that you can do a full reading with just the majors. You can put your majors together, shuffle them, and do a spread with them, or pick just one card. And that is perfectly okay to do, and will give you a legitimate reading. So let's end with one card for our collective. Anyone watching this, a piece of wisdom that we need to know right now from the Major Arcana, the Emperor reversed. And before I interpret it, Trey, do you use majors only decks ever? I only own one majors only, and it is the Baphomet Tarot by Giger. And I have used it. Sure, absolutely. So as a collective card, the Emperor reversed, we could say F the patriarchy with this, but we could also say, know the rules so you can break the rules. And as you study tarot, see, I'm going to make it pertinent to this class. As you study tarot, you learn the structure and the rules of tarot, and then you learn how they uniquely speak to you yourself. Oh, Trey, got my fingers crossed on this Emperor reverse, and I'm not specifying why. So mote it be. All right. Lady Dakini, the rules are only there for those who aren't creative enough to make up their own. But here's the thing, you got to learn them first. I once signed up for a modern creative verse class, and the first assignment was to write an Elizabethan sonnet. I was like, am I in the wrong class? No, you have to know the rules in order to break them. All right, my friends, I appreciate all of you so much. Special shout out to the members and the moderators. Thank you for being here. If you're watching the replay, please drop a comment. Let me know what questions you have. Right, don't we all love this Mini Wiser? It is a great deck, and I was so happy to be able to share it with you today. I don't know if it's yet available, but I'm sure you could go to Wiser Books and find out right away. My friends, I appreciate you so much. Take really good care. I will see you soon. Thank you all so very much. Be good.